After many long years, Palindrome has finally returned to Destiny 2. The last time this weapon was acquirable was the release of the Witch Queen, with it then exiting the rotation the following season. Now, a couple things. Back then, Palindrome used to be a void 140 round per minute hand cannon, but now it's returned to us. It's got new perks, origin traits, it's enhanceable, and get this, it's arc. That's right, guys, an arc 140 round per minute hand cannon. Now, a lot of people are saying that this weapon is mid. They're saying things like Palindrome has been destroyed, killed, dead on arrival. Fellas, I'm here to say, this is the best fill-in hand cannon in Destiny 2. And this is before we even start talking perks. And before you say, Cross, how would you know you didn't even have a Palindrome? I did. At one time, I had what was considered the God Roll Palindrome in all of Destiny. The quick draw, the rangefinder roll with damn near max range. Fellas, this was it. But you gotta understand, that roll wouldn't be the God Roll today. Quick draw has been nerfed. Rangefinder has also been nerfed. But now that I've actually gotten my hands on this version of Pali, I don't think I could go back to any other version of Palindrome ever again. So fellas, join me on the cope train today as we dive into what makes Palindrome so special this time around. Now let's just start things off with that signature feel. Palindrome, just like all other 140 round per minute hand cannons in the game, required 3 crits in order to get a kill. Now listen, some hand cannons really can nail that. Some of my favorites, Midnight Coup, Rose, Fatebringer's not bad, Exalted Truth is some people's favorites, Nation of Beasts, although it's a strange one, was also one of my favorites. But Pali possesses that that usa. I've never seen a hand cannon that's able to snag crits when there is no way in hell my shot is anywhere close to that man's head. But a big reason for this is because Palindrome has really good stats. In its range stat, it's tied for the highest at a base of 50, along with Exalted Truth. Stability is also tied at the highest at 58. Its recoil direction sits at 98. And in terms of its other stats, it doesn't necessarily win out in these categories. Yes, there are other hand cannons with higher handling or higher reload speed, hell, even aim assist. But the stats here are definitely not bad. And from a PvP perspective, it's that range and stability that's so important. And don't worry, we'll have ways to pick up that aim assist for my controller players. Now this takes us to the perks and why so many people have been hating on this hand cannon. I will say, in terms of traits, yes, the perks do leave some things to be desired. And there are, of course, perks that I wish were present on this hand cannon. But it's not to say it's all bad. In column 3, we have Closing Time, Recycled Energy, Outlaw, To the Pain, Elemental Capacitor, and Explosive Payload. In column 4, we have Magnificent Howl, Snapshots, Rolling Storm, Desperate Measures, Master of Arms, and Opening Shots. Now, I'm going to touch on PvE first, even though, yes, Palindrome has definitely been looked at as more of a PvP weapon. But considering that this is an arc weapon, yes, there are a lot of PvE players that are sitting there scratching their heads, wondering why didn't it get things like jolting feedback or volt shots? No lie, that's valid criticism. Really, the big things that stand out inside of PvE are things like Explosive Payload for that AoE damage, and of course, that increased damage that you get inside of PvE. This is essentially a free damage buff where your body shot damage is increased by 15% and your crit damage is increased by 8.6%, with the enhanced version of Explosive Payload giving you +5 reload. A great perk for both PvE and for PvP. Outside of that, there really isn't much going on inside of that third trait column. You've got Outlaw, you've got Recycled Energy, that's about it. Now, Recycled Energy is a new perk. It states that reloading after defeating targets grants energy to your lowest charged ability. And upon our testing, we didn't really see anything that crazy about this perk. You get maybe like 5% of your energy back, with the enhanced version, at least from what I've been seeing online, not actually giving you more energy back. I guess it's currently bugged. So yes, in that third column for PvE players, really the only standout perk is Explosive Payload. However, this does take us to our fourth column. I'm going to start with Rolling Storm. This has been one of my favorite perks this season, and arguably the best perk that launched with Heresy. It reads that Final Blows grant Bolt Charge, while amplified, Final Blows grant additional Bolt Charge. Now, at each base kill, this is going to grant you 1 stack of Bolt Charge, and then while you're amplified, this will jump up to 2 stacks per kill. However, for our enhanced version of Rolling Storm, getting a kill while you have no bolt charge stacks is going to grant 3 stacks from that first kill, or if you're amplified and have no current stacks, this will grant you 4 bolt stacks. Let me just say, guys, this is an excellent perk. It was our top choice perk for Psycho Pop, and with how good bolt charge is this episode, this is obviously the best one, in my opinion, inside of PvE. Now, another interesting perk that's present in that fourth column is Master of Arms. Now, this one's interesting because the only other weapon that can roll with this perk is Recluse. So not only do we have a situation here where the perk jumped to another weapon, but it just jumped outright to an entirely different weapon type, going from an SMG to a hand cannon. Now it reads that kills with any weapon improves the weapon's damage for a short time. Now, when you get a kill with any weapon, this will grant you Massive Arms ×1, which is a 15% damage increase for 7 seconds. Now, if you get another kill with any weapon while Massive Arms is active, this will grant you ×2, which is a 25% increase in damage. This one lasts for only 4 seconds though. However, when that ×2 expires, it will revert back to ×1 instead before completely dropping off. Now, for the enhanced version of this perk, the buff timer is increased by 1 second for both the first and second stacks. Now, let me just say, guys, this perk right here for my PvP players is probably going to be the perk we want to go for. Its fluidity, its ability to be procced by other weapon kills, and we're going to get into TTK values and also damage breakouts in terms of forgiveness. But yes, Massive Arms is both good for PvE as well as PvP. Now, we also have Desperate Measures. Weapon Final Blows grant bonus damage. Melee and grenade final blows grant a larger damage bonus that can stack. Now, this does not start out as high as Massive Arms, as Desperate Measures at ×1 only grants a 10% increase in damage. However, it does last for 7 seconds as well. But the grenade or a melee kill, this will give you ×2, which is a 20% increase in damage. Then if you get another grenade or melee kill, this will give you ×3, which is a 30% increase in damage. Now, the enhanced version of this trait increases the timer for all stacks from 7 seconds to 7.5 seconds. Not a bad perk here, guys. Granted, a little bit tougher inside of PvP to get going if you're trying to get to multiple stacks. Massive Arms definitely has more ease of use. Now, another interesting trait that's in that 4th column is Magnificent Howl. Originally a perk only on Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten, it has now made its way onto Palindrome as well. The number of precision final blows before reloading affects the total rounds granted with increased range and damage. Precision final blows with Magnificent Howl active extends the effect for additional rounds. Now, here's the thing. I like Magnificent Howl. I've utilized it in the past. We talked about it highly with Luna's Howl, but in my opinion, to really get the most out of Magnificent Howl, you really need something like Slide Shot. This allows you to keep your ammo up to take advantage of getting to max stacks, which, yes, if you can work around it, will give you the ability to 2-tap inside of PvP. For my PvE players though, in my opinion, I would do Explosive Payload, Rolling Storm. You also have the Origin trait wild card right there, where final blows of the weapon have a chance to create experimental submunitions at the target's location, which, yes, that too can help proc Bolt Charge if it gets a final blow, which synergizes very nicely there with Rolling Storm. Would I have loved something crazy? Maybe like a combination of Rolling Storm and Bolt Shot together, or Jolting Feedback and Rolling Storm. Hell yeah, I would have loved that. But for the time being, guys, I do believe that Explosive Payload and Rolling Storm is still an incredible trait combination, and one of which I think PvE players should entertain. Now, with that out of the way, fellas, let's talk PvP. Now, let me just say, guys, when we first started out looking at this weapon, doing our live review, I was kind of like just going through a number of different roles, and what I was really trying to narrow down on, especially when it comes to those 3rd column trait perks, is which one of these just made the weapon feel better. Now, one of those traits that really stood out to me was To the Pain. And I actually think this may be my top pick. While the weapon is equipped, taking damage increases handling and aim assist until the weapon is stowed. Taking more damage increases the effect. Now, this will max out at 10 stacks, with each stack granting +2 aim assist on top of handling that I don't really know what the exact value is, but it's noticeable. Needless to say, guys, at max stacks, you're getting +20 aim assists, pretty much maxing everything out, which is more than enough. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that when you do stow your weapon, this takes away your stacks. Now, the enhanced version of To the Pain, those stat bonus that it grants are also increased. Normally, guys, I don't really like a perk that requires me to take damage in order to give me benefits. It's kind of like Eye of the Storm, though, except its benefits persist even after the gunfight is concluded. And you could just be running around with max stacks, and now you've got a hand cannon that literally feels like it can't miss. And it's also something that you've noticed in the middle of the gunfight itself. And here's the thing, I've used To the Pain in the past, but it has never felt better than what it feels on Palindrome. Now, I also use Closing Time. Closing Time states that it improves range and accuracy and handling as the magazine gets lower. Essentially, once you get below 50% of the magazine, it'll start out giving you plus 10 range, plus 30 handling, a handling multiplier. It helps with your accuracy cone size. Then it continues to scale that up to plus 20 range and plus 50 handling. Pretty nice, with the enhanced version pushing those stats even further. My thing is I just don't want to take the time to prime my weapon, guys. Have I done it in the past? Sure. I was literally talking about it on stream. I had a high impact reserve Palindrome back in the day, and I literally used that to beat less than a 1v1. There are times where priming is definitely worth it. However, considering how good To the Pain already is in that third trait column, in my opinion, it's just not needed. Now, explosive payload is also present here in that third column, which I love on hand cannons. However, Bungie really has gone after explosive payload over the past few updates, trying to cut it down and not make it the say-all end-all perk for whichever column it rolls in. It doesn't inflict as much flinch as it used to. You also have technically slightly less range when using explosive payload. For instance, inside of PvP at base, we're able to hit damage fall off at 37 meters, but we could still get the kill. However, with explosive payload, with the same range stats, we can only kill up to 36 meters. And the moment damage fall off begins at 37 meters, we can no longer get the kill in 3 crits. I still like explosive payload, and I think you could still make a play for explosive payload on Palindrome. But I still side with To the Pain, guys. I just think it's better. Element Capacitor is also present here. It gives you big stat bumps depending on whatever subclass or super you're rocking. Solar giving you plus 50 reload speed. Arc giving you plus 50 handling. Void giving you plus 20 stability. Strand giving you plus 20 airborne effectiveness. And Stasis giving you plus 20 recoil direction, as well as minus 20% ADS movement speed penalty, with the enhanced version of this perk increasing all those stat bonuses by 5. Pretty good. I would say, like, if you're like crazy about handling, you can rock Arc and just full send that thing and max out your handling, which before you overlook it, keep in mind at one time, that's what made the quick draw rangefinder roll so desirable on the original Palindrome. You essentially had a maxed out handling hand cannon at all times. Granted, quick draw got nerfed, but you can achieve something similar here. Granted, it does lock you to the Arc subclass. As for whether or not Void is necessary for the extra stability, I don't really think so, guys. I actually feel like the base default stability on this weapon is plenty enough. Now this takes us to our column 4 perks. Master of Arms was the one that I was most interested in. Kills with any weapon improves this weapon's damage for a short time. Now, the reason why this is nice inside of PvP is that with just one stack, you're actually able to kill a Guardian in 2 crits, 1 body. Yes, it still requires 3 shots. However, it's that little bit of forgiveness that makes Master of Arms worth it. And in my opinion, the God Roll that I'm looking for on my Palindrome would be To the Pain and Master of Arms, just for the ability to proc it on any other weapon kill. If I get a shotgun kill or sniper rifle kill, boom, swap over. I've got Master of Arms ×1. I can get the 2 crit 1 body. I can get the double stack, which increases my damage even further. You're not going to be able to get the 2 tap with Palindrome with just the base weapon itself and Master of Arms, but the 3 tap is just so consistent that just adding just a little bit of damage enables you to get more guaranteed 3 taps, which is all we need here for Pali. That to me is the most desirable perk in that 4th column. Yes, my gameplay includes desperate measures, and that's because I don't have the Master of Arms roll. We were able to test it out with Master of Arms, but that is 100% the God Roll that I'm going to be chasing throughout this week. Now, could you roll this with, say, opening shot? Maybe you want to go for more consistency. Maybe snapshot to increase your handling. You could. But again, I already feel like the weapon does just fine, especially if you're rocking targeting perks. Aim down sight speed is not an issue. Opening shot, although very nice, in my opinion, not necessary. Do like opening shot with things like slide shot, the double stacking, the reprocking. But here for Palindrome, I think the weapon with To the Pain is already so good. I just prefer to have more damage. Now, what about Magnificent Howl? Let me say this is a good perk. The number of precision final blows before reloading affects the total rounds granted with increased range and damage. Precision final blows with Magnificent Howl active extends the effect for additional rounds. Now, essentially, when you score a precision kill, this will grant you 1 stack of precision final blows with a maximum of 10 stacks. Now, reloading will then convert these stacks into Magnificent Howl stacks, with each shot consumed giving 50% increased damage, along with increased damage fall off distance. On top of this, when you get a precision kill while Magnificent Howl is active, this will grant you a stack of Magnificent Howl to help you keep that ball rolling. Now, the enhanced version here also gives you +5 reload speed, which is whatever. But the main takeaway for this, guys, is that yes, you do have the ability to 2-tap if you have at least 2 stacks of Magnificent Howl, which does allow Palindrome here to get the 2-tap in 0.43 seconds. But again, I kind of run into issues with this because I prefer to use slide shot with Magnificent Howl Howl to keep feeding ammo back into the magazine so that we can get precision findable stacks built up before reloading. Not saying you can't do it here with Palindrome, it's just not as easy as something like Luna's Howl. So for PvP players, I want a high range roll, maybe something like corkscrew rifling if I don't want to overcommit there, or hammer forge with To the Pain and Master of Arms in a ranged masterwork. That's what I'm looking for, guys. That's the roll that I want. As far as the origin trait to use inside of PvP, I like wild cards. You know, Vindication is not bad there. It gives you a little bit of health back when you get a kill, which may save you. Wild card's kind of nice, especially if you're hitting targets that are getting res. You place some of those submunitions down, it can make for easy cleanup. But that to me, guys, is the PvP God Roll. And even though a lot of people are overlooking Palindrome, I think that one would treat you well. Now, the last thing I do want to mention for my folks that are farming for this weapon is that currently at Zavala, if you focus for the normal version of the weapon, you can get double traits in column 3, with the focusing costs here being much cheaper than Adepts, only costing 1 Vanguard Ingram and 1 Nightfall Cypher. Now, I do prefer Adepts still more, just for the extra stat bump, but outside of PvP, that's really not necessary, as really is the trait combination that's so important for PvE. Not saying you shouldn't get that Rolling Storm Explosive Payload roll that's a 5 out of 5 God roll that's also an Adept, just in case we get more Adept mods down the road. But for now, it's not entirely necessary, and if you want to take advantage of the double traits dropping from Zavala, go right ahead. Now, do I believe people are going to use this hand cannon over others? Well, we do have a lot of competition inside of PvP. Got a lot of folks that clutch their rose, and they're not going to let go of it. You got some folks that love Exalted Truth. I personally think Palindrome is now the best-in-class hand cannon inside of PvP. I would use it over any other hand cannon. It's my favorite, and I don't even have the God roll yet. As for PvE, though, that one's a bit tougher. I do like Explosive Payload and Rolling Storm, but right now Void is just really, really good. I actually really do like Exalted Truth with Destabilizing Rounds and One for All, and I find that if I want to get crazy with building up bolt charges, it's a good chance I've got a Psycho Pump in my hand with Rolling Storm. Not saying you can't use Palindrome inside of PvE. We're definitely going to utilize it, and with artifact mods such as Overclock and Load, Flashover, Palindrome can take full advantage of that. So that's it, guys. Those are my thoughts on Palindrome. I'm happy it has returned to us. I think it's a phenomenal weapon still, and in some cases, I actually think it's better. Would I have loved to have seen that Bolt Shot Rolling Storm roll? Absolutely. But I don't know if Bungie's ready to give us that much power just yet. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.